you guys. So today's video is going to be all about the only eyeshadows I'm going to be using from now on. I recently purged a bunch of eyeshadow palettes on my channel, and I told you guys that it was mostly because all the stuff that I was getting rid of, I just was getting no use out of whatsoever. And B, I also kind of had an idea in mind for how I wanted to create content around eyeshadow and eye looks moving forward, and that was going to be to get it down to a small amount of product, or small for me, I think, compared to what I've had this whole time. The idea being, I wanted to create videos and tutorials around single eyeshadows simply because I think it's just easier for everyone involved. You don't have to go hunt through a million palettes to find each individual color that you need for a look. So single shadows for me are the way to go. And if you hadn't put two and two together, the eyeshadows that I'm excited about and the ones I'm talking about in this video are the new Makeup Geek Matrix System eyeshadow palettes. I also have another eyeshadow palette I will talk about in this video, and that is the Viseart Grande Pro Volume 2. So this, in addition to one more palette that I don't have yet, will be all I'm using on my channel anymore. I still have tons of other eyeshadow palettes I will use off camera, but like I said, for ease of use, I think single shadows are the way to go. I have a lot of plans and ideas for content around the single shadow system, which I have missed so much. So let's just get started. Oh, before I forget, you guys, Patreon, it's linked down below. If you guys have been on the fence about entering my Patreon, there's tons of content over there. We have a great time. And also there is a huge giveaway going on in February. Everyone who is a patron is entered to win. The winner will be announced at the end of the month. So without any further ado, let's just get started. All right, you guys, so here we are. I went ahead and did the majority of my complexion makeup since this video is not about that at all. And I never do my eyes first, or excuse me, I never do my eyes after complexion, and who knows how this is gonna work out. I'm really scared. Today we are working from, as you can tell from the title, the only eyeshadow palettes I plan on using anymore. I have 3 of them, but there's actually going to be a 4th one, which I'll get into in a minute. So mostly working from the Makeup Geek Matrix System that was released recently. I didn't get mine in the mail until a few days ago. It took like a week for this to get to me. Customer service told me that the orders were just massive and they were doing the best to get it out as quickly as possible. So if you do order this, expect to wait a little bit. The other palette that I'm going to be using moving forward is the Viseart Grande Pro Volume 2. This is the palette that is comprised mostly of metallics and shimmers. There are a few metallics in this palette, but I don't think it's enough for me to create just any old look that I want. And that's kind of the goal here, is to get enough of a collection together that it is realistic and I can use it in many different ways. So that is why I picked this one up. I think I'm also going to, no, I don't think, I'm going to also pick up the Viseart Grande Pro Volume, I don't know the number, but it's the rainbow one. So I think a rainbow palette, a neutral palette, a colorful, but I wouldn't consider this like a vivid color palette, and a shimmer palette is more than enough to get pretty much everything done. I don't want to pull these eyeshadows out of the container or the palette to tell you the name, especially the ones like in the center, because I've scratched them when I try to do that. So I will leave the names of the shadows that I'm using down below in the order that I use them. Today I'm feeling like doing something really dramatic and smoky, so I'm just going to start with this color right here, which I'm pretty sure is Creme Brulee. Oh, I don't even have any primer on. Woo! Anarchy! So to prime my eyes, I'm using Tarte Shape Tape, and then just blending it out with a brush. Now that that's over with, I'm going to now take Creme Brulee on a fluffy brush. This is the JH30. I need glasses, I don't know. And this is gonna act as my transition color. I'm doing a lot of smokage. Anytime I plan on doing something a little more on the smoky side, I tend to take a little extra care with my transition shade, and I make sure that this outer corner has a good bit of depth of color going on, because it'll just make all the darker colors I'm working with that much easier to blend. So I figured while I was doing my makeup, I would talk to you guys about why I'm so excited about this launch. I do want to begin by saying I'm aware that as of a couple of days ago, there's been some drama that's popped off with Marlene Estelle and Tina of the Fancy Face. I will talk about that and kind of my thoughts on it, and generally my thoughts on influencer owned brands in general, because don't get me wrong, I think as much as I love Marlena, Tina is incredibly rightful in her frustration with this situation. I really get it, I do. But the fact that Marlena, I guess, kind of made it a point to say that she didn't think it was fair to kind of talk about Makeup Geek the brand when Tina was actually mad at Marlena the person, and that just kind of gave me like a kind of moment, because I think that influencer owned brands are so sticky because of that exact fact. Like, people do not separate the person from the product, and I have a whole video coming about my thesis, if you will, surrounding that, so stay tuned. For today, we're just going to talk about the eyeshadow palette. I think you guys at this point are pretty well aware of the fact that I am not a pre-made eyeshadow palette fan. I mean, I kind of had if you can't beat them, join them attitude about them for the past couple of years, simply because when it comes to creating content, I wanted to use products that I was fairly certain my subscribers would have, so that usually ended up being like Morphe palettes and things like that, because they're so popular and everybody be picking them up, but my heart wasn't in it. I don't like the idea of a pre-made palette, because essentially if you're not careful and you're not paying attention to it, you will buy the same eyeshadow shades over and over and over again, and then you run into a situation, for example, like with my Jaclyn Hill palette, with the colors that I use the most are already almost completely gone, and I would have to repurchase this entire palette in order to get them back because they're not available as singles. That is exactly what I like about this, because if I run out of this shade, for example, I just have to pick that one shade back up to make my palette complete again. I talked a lot about a bunch of palettes I was getting rid of in a recent video, and I gave all my reasons for doing so, and one of the reasons that I listed was that I feel as if most palettes kind of create a barrier to entry because of the way they are packaged. This isn't necessarily a good example of that, because you have the colors on the back, and I use this so much, I know what's in it. But a lot of the palettes that I got rid of, I told you guys I was getting rid of them because I never used them, and there was some sort of barrier to entry there for me. And a lot of the times it came down to packaging. So being able to see these colors all laid out like this is just good, and it works for me. I know some people might not think that's a big deal, but this is just my personal opinion. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here on a smaller brush. So in that video that I did about my eyeshadow palettes I was getting rid of, you guys would be surprised, I think, how many different people commented on that video and were like, I don't know, trying to talk me into keeping certain palettes or telling me that I hadn't given certain palettes their due. Some people were like, offended that I didn't like their favorite palette. And like, here's the deal. Reviewing makeup is kind of hard to do because all of us are going to have certain preferences or certain things we look for in products, things we don't like. So you have to take everything you hear a beauty guru say, me included, with a grain of salt, because I can only speak for myself. And I don't know, man, like, are y'all on the payroll? Do y'all just get paid to go around and tell people that they need to like certain palettes? Like, I don't understand what is in it for you to do that. Because here's the thing, I'm not in the business of trying to make something work. Like, if I paid for something to do a certain job and it's not doing that, I don't feel like I need to dedicate a whole lot of time trying to make it do that thing. It just isn't right for me. So as far as I'm concerned, and I can only speak for myself as usual, this system is my ideal way to do eyeshadow and have eyeshadow related content on my channel, because it would be consistent. You know, you would know moving forward what shadows I'm probably using, where to get them, and you could probably easily find dupes for them because it's all been done before, baby girl. Like, that's another thing I've heard a lot of people say, that there's nothing innovative or interesting about this release and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, nothing is innovative or interesting anymore, first of all. I feel like this discussion of makeup needing to be more interesting or whatever comes from the sense of like, people just view all of this as entertainment now. I've said many times that from where I'm sitting, makeup is something to be used. It's a tool, and this is an excellent tool, I believe. So that's why I'm excited about it. Like I said, I can't speak for anybody else, but this makes me happy. I got a lot of comments recently, which is, I don't even know why I address the negative comments because I get so many more good ones than negative ones, but I guess I feel the need to clarify things. I got so many comments lately of people being like,
well, what do you like?
Because I decluttered some stuff. Like, I don't understand the connection that I don't like anything if I'm getting rid of stuff I don't like. I literally talk about the things I like all of the time. So I already knew well before Marlena announced this rebrand and everything that I was gonna go back to singles once my no-buy year ended, which ended in January. And it was just perfect timing because once this like matrix system or whatever was released, it saved me from having to go hunt down and reestablish a single shadow collection. I had already given pretty much every single shadow I had away to my bestie for the restie. And I knew that I was just gonna have to re-up on all that stuff. This was just a very convenient way to do so. I've been a fan of Makeup Geek shadows for a long time. I've been a fan of Makeup Geek? Makeup Geek for a long time. I've been a fan of Marlena for a long time. So if you consider that a bias, you're gonna have to keep that in mind as I continue with this review. Next, I'm going in with this color right here, and I'm actually gonna mix it with the one right next to it. I know this one's Bitten. I don't know what that one is. But yeah, when the rebrand announcement came out, I was stoked, man, because I was just excited to hear a makeup launch that seemed to be really focused on education and also getting a lot of use out of their product, because I don't feel like that's the energy we've got going on in the beauty community these days. I feel like the vibe is sell as many things as you possibly can and then turn around and bring out something new. They're kind of like iPhones, I feel like. You know how every year when the iPhone comes out, it's just so exciting and amazing and everybody's hyping it up, and then next thing you know, they'll bring out another one and be like, oh, but you don't have this feature, so now you need to get rid of the perfectly good iPhone you just got to get this one. And I feel like that's exactly what the beauty industry as a whole is being built on right now. This need that, or excuse me, this feeling that the thing you have right now is not sufficient. You must get something else to make it so. And I don't subscribe to that. She was talking a lot about how she was excited for us to hit pan on our products. Another thing you don't hear a lot of people talking about. I just liked the whole narrative behind this. And then like a few days after I ordered it, I was on YouTube and I saw her doing a live stream around the matrix system and what it was designed to do and how it's designed to help the people that have it have a better understanding of color theory and therefore be able to create more of their own looks. Because honestly, I think that eyeshadow palettes do so well because, for example, every time a new palette comes out, let's say this one, because I have it next to me still from the other day, you see these colors laid out in this way, and then what you typically see is people creating looks using this palette. So in your mind, you feel like you can only create those looks with this palette when you probably own a million shades just like this. And a lot of that comes down to people not understanding how color works, how color theory works. So they're not able to look at shadows or even a look that somebody else is wearing and figure out how to translate that using what they have on themselves. So the solution time and time again is to buy more stuff, buy more stuff. And if you're new here, that is not the vibe over here at all. We're big on using what we have and playing with makeup. We like makeup, we don't like shopping. That's two very different things. So I feel like for her to make a very conscious effort to roll this whole product out heavy on education and teaching you guys the versatility of the product is just wicked smart. Like, I don't know, I love that energy. Okay, so for my lid, I'm gonna take this Viseart palette and I'm gonna take this guy and mix it with this guy. These guys right here. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Lit glitter glue, just a little bit. The way I do this is I put some on the brush and then I try to get as much off as I can. You just want a touch of that stickiness, and I feel like it helps any type of metallic shadow you put on top of it just kind of pop a little bit more. Of course, you can use Fix Plus to do the same thing, but I just like this way of doing it lately. I know this looks kind of busted right now, but it will come together. I'm gonna put a little primer on my lower lash line. I hate doing this part of my makeup on camera. My mouth is just agape. So as far as the formula and all that good stuff goes with these shadows, I mean, I don't know if you guys have any experience with Makeup Geek at all, but for me, they are just an incredible brand with an incredible formula. I've never had any issues with it. I cut my teeth on Makeup Geek. But me not using Makeup Geek shadows over the past few years had absolutely nothing to do with the brand itself. It was, like I said, more or less a need I felt I had to meet of my viewers, in that nobody was really messing with single shadows for whatever reason, and I don't think I will ever do something like that again. I understand people get really upset if I do the same look over and over again, or if I use the same products over and over again. But my stance with my channel, and has been my stance with my channel for a long time, is I'm just gonna do what's authentic to me. I don't know a lot of people in real life, who are dedicating hundreds and hundreds of dollars and hours and hours and hours to change the way their makeup looks all the time. I know what works for me, and that's kind of what I tend to gravitate towards. If you need something else from your beauty guru besides that, there's tons of other people who offer tons of other free content that can meet that need for you. I'm just gonna do what works for me. Going back into this palette, and I'm taking this color right here. I think this is Cheetah Bear. She renamed it from Cocoa Bear to Cheetah Bear. And I'm pretty much just gonna replicate exactly what I just did on my upper lash line with my lower lash line. All right, the glitter fallout from that Viseart shadow is very real. Do you see it? Holy crap. But yeah, the shadows themselves I have always found to be exceptional, especially considering how reasonably priced they are. When Makeup Geek first launched many moons ago, the only name in the game really was MAC, and they were charging $12, something like that, $12, $13 for a single shadow, and Makeup Geek came out and was doing $6. So yeah, I have only had good experiences with this brand and this company. I have a few of their other products. I've got their blushes, I've got their highlighters. I felt all of them were very well formulated and well done. What's really wild to me are the foiled shadows that she makes. I'm not using any of them in today's look because it doesn't call for it, but I swear the next time I do my makeup, I'm gonna do one eye purple and one eye turquoise because I think it'd be so pretty. But these foiled shadows are just nonsensical at how gorgeous they are. I feel like a lot of times when we mess with shimmer shallows, what? I feel like a lot of time when we mess with shimmer shadows inside of a palette, they have a sheen to them, maybe a little shine, but you can't compare. You can't, like the Makeup Geek ones are so much better, period. And I'll never get through one of those foiled. I'll never finish one. Like, they're so intense. You need the tiniest amount to get the job done. I'm gonna take this dark purple shade right there, and I'm gonna start putting it. I can tell you what this one is because I don't have to dig my fingers in. This is Eternally Grateful. Huh, cute. I'm gonna take that on a smaller brush, and this is gonna be like my outer corner, get the party started smoky session right here. But so my plan with this new single shadow vibe is that I want to take these single shadows and create similar layouts maybe to popular palettes that are coming out, so I can show you guys how easy they are to dupe, and then show you how easy it is to recreate the same looks that everybody is posting once a new palette comes out. I feel like that's half the reason people gravitate towards them, like I said, is they see this stuff in a new layout with a new packaging and a slightly different color story, and then people just get so crunk dizzle about it because it seems exciting. Once again, I haven't been excited over a makeup lunch in a long time. This is kind of the only one I've been stoked about in years, I think. So I definitely like the idea of kind of having a more curated, reusable, if you will, type of eyeshadow collection for my channel and what I'm trying to do. So if you're gonna get bored with me using the same brand of eyeshadows all the time, like, oh no, I tell you girl, like this for me is very exciting, not to have to worry about accumulating new palettes all the time to create looks. That's just not the way of it. I'm gonna take some black eyeliner, and I'm gonna tight line my upper waterline, whatever they call it. I'm gonna put some of this black eyeliner in my lower waterline and a little bit underneath it as well. And then quickly, no time to waste, I'm gonna smudge that out with that darker purple shade. I think it was like grape expectations, I don't know. And this. There are so many phases of the makeup application process that are just basically impossible to talk during, and I guess I can't talk anyway. Cheese and rice. All right guys, I'm gonna turn the camera off, do my lashes, liner, all that, and I'll be right back to finish up my final thoughts on this launch with you guys. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I went ahead and applied my highlighter, lips, all that good stuff. My lip combo is the same one I talked about in my favorites video that I just posted. It is Iconic Nude lip liner from Charlotte Tilbury, the Mel Thompson and Christian Audette lipstick in the color Beauty, and the Buxom lip gloss in Claire. So it's my go-to. I wear it with everything. I really like this look. It's a little out of my normal comfort zone. I was super into red smoky eyes a long time ago, and it was kind of nice to bust one out once more. Do I think the Makeup Geek Matrix System is worth it? Yes, I do. I think this is going to come down to the collection that you already have. I'm not a big fan of encouraging people to drop everything and go out and buy something if what they have at home already is extremely similar. It's going to come down to what you plan to do with this and how you do your makeup. For me, as a professional makeup artist, or when I was a professional makeup artist, every time I would work on a client, I had custom made palettes like this that were laid out in a way that helped me work faster, because I like to keep certain color stories in certain areas for different skin tones. So that's what I like about this, because it's essentially the same thing. The way these are laid out, I can look at this and see a myriad looks that I could create with it. I just don't feel that way with the majority of eyeshadow palettes that I get. I'm also not a big fan, as I said originally, of pre-made eyeshadow palettes. I think they're a really good quick money grab for companies. I don't think they're difficult to throw together at all. That's why we see so many of them. And I have a theory that the margins are super high there. In other words, they're cheap to produce and easy to make a lot of money off of. I can't wait until this eyeshadow palette like splurge that we keep getting goes away. Like, enough is enough. It's been done. I know some people feel like this is not innovative or cool or anything like that, as I said before, but once again, that's going to come down to really how you see makeup, what you get out of it, and how you enjoy it. And as I've said 100,000 times, makeup to me is something to be used, and I prefer to purchase makeup and have makeup in my collection that inspires me to use it. I feel like I will get a lot of use out of, and it's something I can really customize for me and what my needs are. I used the Viseart palette today. I haven't talked much about my thoughts on it because it's still pretty new to me. I'm gonna blind you guys. I do like it a lot. I think the shadows are beautiful. They perform really, really well. I don't know if I think they perform quite as well as the Makeup Geek foiled shadows do, but the idea here was for me just to have a little bit more of a selection in terms of metallic or shimmer shades to apply all over the lid. And then, like I said, I will get the rainbow version of this as well, and that is going to be my completed eyeshadow palette collection on my channel. I'll be really interested to see if other companies try to jump on the single eyeshadow bandwagon now that this launch has been so well received, or I think it has been. I haven't watched a whole lot of videos on it from other people, but I can't imagine that you could find fault with this system. Like, the shadows work really well, and yes, the matrix system is pretty expensive, but I seriously think you will use this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You're never gonna run out of these shadows, and if you do, you can repurchase this single shadow that you need to replace, as opposed to, as I've said 1,000 times, a situation where you have a palette that you have to completely repurchase in order to have the colors back that you use the most of. So that is my thoughts on this system. If you guys want to hear my thoughts on what's been going on with Makeup Geek and Marlena and the Fancy Face, or in general my entire viewpoint on influencer-owned brand. Stay tuned for that video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, thank you to the patrons. I think over there this month, I'm going to do some more in-depth tutorials with the eyeshadow palette system that I have, answer some questions, help you guys figure out dupes. I really look forward to creating content around this in general. I feel like eyeshadow is one of the things we make the most content around, so it could go anywhere as far as I am concerned. Like I said in the intro, make sure you go check out Patreon if you are interested. There is a massive giveaway going on over there right now, and all the patrons are eligible to enter. Other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Make sure you check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.